Welcome to Let's Talk Business Phoenix, the Greater Phoenix Chamber's podcast. I'm your host, Todd Sanders, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Chamber. Each week, we tackle key issues affecting businesses, the community, and state, aiming to drive growth and overcome challenges while uniting community leaders to move Phoenix forward.
Let's Talk Business Phoenix was produced in partnership with Ideas Collide, an agency offering a full suite of custom marketing solutions for your brand's unique challenges. Make a connection at ideascollide.com.
Well, welcome back to the podcast. We have a special guest today. We have Oliver Yandle, who is the President and CEO of the Arizona Society of CPAs. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Maybe let's start with a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself and maybe something that we wouldn't find on your bio.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am not a CPA.
Okay.
I'm an attorney.
Important.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm an attorney by training. Been in the association management business for pretty much my entire professional career. Really love working with membership organizations and saw an opportunity to get out of the legal-oriented association space and work with a state-based group of CPAs, and it's been a great experience.
Is it common to have a non-CPA?
It's not unusual.
Okay.
Many of my colleagues in other states are CPAs, but a lot of them are association management professionals, and some are both. So,
what area of law were you in before?
I did association management.
Okay, that was it.
Pretty much, yeah. So I was doing public policy and advocacy work.
You look so young and fresh for all that policy work.
I had hair before.
There you well, I can identify with that.
Yes.
And something about you that we wouldn't know that wouldn't be on your bio.
I love to cook. I'm from South Louisiana, and so I learned a lot from my parents and grandparents. So.
What's the best dish?
I love crawfish étouffée.
Very nice. That's a hard one, though.
Oh, no. Actually, it's one of the easier ones, but it just tastes good.
Maybe it's just intimidating.
Right, exactly.
So good. Besides your house, any good places that you recommend here for good crawfish étouffée? So your house.
Probably my house.
You're all invited.
Yes, please
awesome. Do. Okay, excellent. Well, so obviously a lot going on. What are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities right now in the CPA world?
Well, I think the biggest one that we're focused on is the pipeline, the workforce challenges that we face. I think every business is going through that now, but particularly with CPAs, we're trying to do our part to get exposure to students, particularly in high schools and universities, to help them learn more about what opportunities exist in accounting and finance and encourage them to pursue that. And then we're also looking at some changes to the licensure model, adding an additional pathway as part of our workforce development initiatives to maybe make it a little bit easier and maybe a little less costly for some folks to be able to pursue a CPA and still maintain very high quality standards for the profession.
But just get more folks in.
Yes, that's the main challenge.
Okay, so in terms of I think all of us recognize how important this role is for our organizations, but also how difficult it is to find folks out there. And I guess if you're a CPA, that's a great problem to have. For the rest of us, it's a big challenge. So talk to us a little bit about what are you doing to get this pipeline going or widen so that we have more folks in the profession?
We're doing a number of things. We've included free membership for university students to join the organization so they get exposure to the resources that we have for our CPAs. We're also doing a number of mentoring activities. We have something called Accounting Career Exploration Days, where we go into a CPA firm or into a corporate finance department, bring in students, allow them to network with the CPAs that are in that organization, learn what a real day-to-day experience is in that organization, and really help expose them to the many different opportunities that exist. A lot of people look at CPAs and think tax and audit exclusively. They do a lot more than that. They do a lot of business planning, a lot of advisory services, and helping them understand that there are a whole breadth of opportunities in the profession that they can explore, and hearing it from the horse's mouth, if you will.
Absolutely. And I think talking to young people in a university is probably one thing, but how do you talk to a kid in high school about getting into accounting?
Well, we've partnered with the Center for Audit Quality. It's a national initiative that they've launched, primarily focused on using social media to reach younger people, particularly high school students, and especially those in underserved communities of color in particular. And what they've done is they've done a lot of research, and they've partnered with media companies that are in the spaces where those students live. So they're talking their language, they're talking in the areas that they spend a lot of time, and they're seeing some real changes in perception among young people about the opportunities that accounting and finance can bring. So in addition to messaging through social media, they're holding rallies at high schools where they bring in guest speakers who can talk about their experiences and the life they've been able to create as a CPA. There are scholarship opportunities associated with that as well. Very important. And so it's really having an impact. They've done studies on changes in perception, and the messaging is working. The stories they're telling is working, and the financial support has helped as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's clear that everything seems to be changing pretty rapidly these days. Professions, CPAs, I'm sure are included in that. How has the role changed over maybe the last decade?
It's changed a lot. Obviously, technology has impacted everyone. AI has been a significant force in the CPA world, helping firms and CPAs offload some of the more routinized administrative tasks so that they can spend more time on the higher level, more strategic kind of advisory roles. So that's been a big change. But that's also meant that the skill sets are evolving as well. So more soft skills or higher level skills. So critical thinking, communication, collaboration, data analysis. Those are the kinds of things that CPAs are expected and needed for, perhaps more than just debits and credits.
So when you say soft skills, I mean, we hear that a lot. For you, what does that mean?
Again, it's the collaboration, it's the emotional intelligence, critical thinking, communication, and also management skills. With the pandemic came some changes in terms of how work gets done. And so helping those managers manage a workforce that has become accustomed to a different kind of work engagement than maybe they were 10 or 15 years ago.
Certainly a lot more remote work. It's really different.
Very different. And the expectations are different as well. And so in order to attract talent, they need to change their mindsets and how they recruit and what kind of incentives they create for their employees to want to become a part of their organizations.
And thinking about sort of the other side, obviously your clients, a lot going on there as well. What are some of the top financial trends you see out there that businesses should be paying attention to?
There is a lot going on, from everything from tariff concerns to worries about inflation, immigration, and the impact, particularly in Arizona, that has on the workforce, that has on resources and supply chains and all that sort of thing. So those are some of the big issues. The tax policy is a big challenge as well. A number of the federal Tax Cut and Job Act's provisions are going to be expiring at the end of this year. A lot of uncertainty as to how that's all going to play out. And so from a tax planning perspective, it's been challenging to try and anticipate how all of that's going to shake out.
To that point, obviously a lot being talked about in terms of what's happening in DC with cutting federal workforce. Looks like IRS was certainly not spared that. What are you hearing in terms of potential impacts to taxpayers as a result of having less people on the job in DC?
Well, I think there is concern that responsiveness may be a challenge. Folks who wait longer in terms of filing their tax returns may have a longer wait time before they get their refunds. I think that's probably the most immediate and the most direct impact of some of the reductions in the workforce. It also means that there may be less compliance in terms of audits and those types of things. So, and then just the backlog, just catching up with returns that are being filed. There's some new reporting requirements that are out there, so there may be some delays in terms of getting clarity on what's required and that sort of thing. So there is a concern that fewer people means delays and perhaps some challenges in terms of dealing with so
be prepared for potential challenges in terms of delays and maybe other things as well.
Absolutely. Going
into the tax season and beyond.
Yes.
Okay. We talked a little bit about technology, automation. How is that going to change the industry over time?
Well, it's already changing it. AI is being implemented to help, again, with things like with audit preparation. So there's a thing called the Dynamic Audit Solution that the AICPA, the national organization, has been working with a number of CPA firms in developing. And the idea is to really incorporate high-level technology to make things more efficient, more streamlined, to help managing the audit process more effective, to be able to give more in-depth and more robust and more meaningful audit reports. And so far, the early reports from the early testing of that has been very positive. And it will mean for a very different way of approaching the audit, again, so that CPAs can do that higher level advisory work, less of the nuts and bolts administrative parts of compiling an audit.
So a young person thinking about the career in accounting doesn't necessarily need to be worried about AI coming for his or her job?
Someone said that CPAs that don't embrace AI will have trouble navigating the future, but those that do will find it to be an incredibly helpful tool in advancing their work, making them more efficient, and again, allowing them to do the higher level advisory work that I think is so important and so much more valuable to their clients.
Switching gears a little bit to the policy side, I know you all do a lot of work on the policy front, I know in the state, but also federal?
We do. Our primary focus is on the state, but we do work with the national organization in advancing federal legislation, things such as getting STEM CPAs in accounting and finance recognized as a STEM discipline, things related to tax policy and issues related to the IRS and that sort of thing. We do engage at the federal level. At the state level, we like to consider ourselves a nonpartisan, non-biased organization. We review every piece of legislation that's introduced in the legislature, and that's a lot.
That's a lot. For its more every year.
Exactly. For its impact on business tax policy, the licensure in the CPA profession. And we don't necessarily take positions on those pieces of legislation. What we do is we review it from a technical perspective to make sure that the intent of the legislation is actually going to achieve its policy objectives. And if there are problems with it, try and work with the legislature to get those corrected before they get enacted to make things a little bit cleaner on the other side.
Good to hear. I mean, I think people miss that sometimes, that you have great intentions as a lawmaker, mm-hmm. and something gets drafted with good intentions, but it doesn't always line up, does it?
Correct. And that's really our job. Our folks are very, very technically savvy, and so they can identify some of those concerns early on. And that reputation is carried forward such that we will be approached in advance of the legislation being crafted for some input and help in making sure that those things don't happen. So that's been a real feather in our cap.
Well, and at the end of the day, we all win for that
exactly.
work. I mean,
right.
Beyond the CPA world.
Yes, it makes our members' lives a lot easier when it doesn't get screwed up on the other side.
And right, absolutely, we all win. So obviously, as a business leader yourself, what's one piece of financial advice that you would give to business leaders out there?
Well, I think knowing your numbers, like really being on top of things like your margins, your reserve levels, your budget, understanding your revenue that's coming in and expenditures that are going out. And that sounds very simple, but it's really important because in this environment of uncertainty, being on top of those things can make a real difference. And that's where your CPA can really come in and help and be a strategic advisor, help you with budget planning, scenario planning, the what ifs to navigate this uncertainty, especially right now with so much going on at the federal level, uncertainty as it relates to tax policy, even at the state level, depending on what happens at the federal level. It really is important to build that relationship with your CPA and, again, get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers in your business and make sure you have an understanding of that.
Your functional understanding of what's happening.
Very much so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, as we wrap up, what are What's your vision for the society in the next 5 or 10 years? Where do you see it going from where it is today? And obviously, it's you've done a tremendous amount with a society. But where do you want it to go?
Well, we'd like to see the pipeline increase. So we want to see more young people entering into the profession, seeing all the value that a CPA career can provide. We're also changing our approach to professional education and professional development. So much of the continuing education that CPAs need is based on compliance. So checking the boxes, understanding the regulations, that's all very, very important. Technical skills are very important, but so are those soft skills that we talked about before. And our approach has been to really revamp the way we engage and help develop those skill sets among our members by focusing on those soft skills: communication, critical thinking, collaboration, making that a major focus of our work. And that is where we think that the actual licensure approach is going to be as well. They'll be looking to do more competency-based education and development, both for students that are sitting for the CPA exam, but also for those that are already licensed, to make sure that they're providing that strategic advice to their clients in a meaningful way.
Well, a lot of work to do.
Yes.
And we're glad you're at the helm.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. We're going to do a quick lightning round with you. And
Sure.
we know you were an attorney by trade, but what was your first job? And not professionally, what was your first job?
My first job was probably as a newspaper boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a tough job.
It is. And I still read a printed newspaper
Good
every
for
day.
you. Good for you.
People think I'm strange, but yes.
I was at the airport and I thought, it'd be kind of nice to have a Wall Street Journal. So I got one and I'm sitting there reading it and enjoying it. And I looked around, people were staring at me like, who's that guy?
I get looks like that all
What's
the time.
What's he doing?
And I hope it's because it's the newspaper and not something else.
Yeah. So what'd you learn from that job?
I learned accountability and responsibility, being organized, getting up early in the morning and getting those papers out, and how important it was to people that as simple as it might have been, people really relied on that service to stay up to speed. And they have other ways now, but at the time, print was the way to go.
Interesting parallels between those responsibilities and your current responsibilities. People are really relying on the work that you and your members are doing.
Yes, very much so.
So if not association management / law, what would you do? What would be the dream job?
There's a couple of ideas. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a game show host. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, if this doesn't work out, maybe there's something on the game show.
The Price is Right.
Maybe, yeah.
Drew Carey can't stay there forever.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. What's your pet peeve? We're going to finish on that one.
Irritating mouth noises. Yeah.
You want to delve into that a little bit?
It's just something that's always bothered me, and apparently there's a name for this. It's called misophonia, and it's a thing. So it's not just something that irritates me; it's apparently a condition.
There you go. Well, on that bombshell, we'll let you go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Don.
And thanks for all the work you're doing in our community.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for watching this episode of Let's Talk Business Phoenix. Please take a moment to tap the follow or subscribe button for more great podcast episodes to help your business thrive.